Hello there everyone, today we're going to talk about the Butcher Circus DLC and which characters are viable, not viable, and I'm going to call it situational. This isn't necessarily a ranked tier video, and this may also get outdated obviously with any patch updates where maybe huge breakthroughs in the meta, but as of right now it's been out for about a month and there's a fairly good idea of what characters are good and what characters can probably not get used that often. So we're going to go left to right here. I'm just going to give maybe a minute thought on each character and then try to move on to the next here. So we have the Highwaymen as usual. I would say Highwaymen are viable, obviously solely for the riposte. This allows you to just riposte on Hound's Harry's, Antiquarium's abilities, and any other ability that may hit multiple positions, or if he's one of the last people left, you have to focus him, thus you're getting hit by riposte. So I think he's got pretty good damage there. Also he's got more death blow chances with obviously the point blank and the wicked slice. So these two things are very good. His vendetta is also pretty good. So overall, he's got a lot of good stuff on him. I think he's a pretty viable damage dealer for sure. The Hellion, I would probably argue not viable. I know you might be saying, well, I've gotten cheesed via the terrifying yelp strategy. It obviously decreases the accuracy and inflicts stress. Here's why I'm going to say I'm not a huge fan of the Hellion. I have, at least for me, I use bounty hunters and abominations, thus her low move resist actually allows her to be knocked back to the third position, where she has to break through. Therefore, she dazes herself, doesn't do as much damage, so pretty much in the end days, she's not doing much with breakthrough. You can even riposte that, as I just said on the Highwaymen. So you can nullify a Hellion very quickly, or you can even Arbalest Flare, getting rid of the decreased accuracy on that. And if you do an ability such as Bolster, or have other things on that decrease stress damage taken, her terrifying yelp can be a little bit neutered in that sense, and it also doesn't do any damage, so it's not going to be like the Crusader Zealous Accusation, which does the same thing, obviously minus the accuracy. So I don't think Hellions are very viable right now. There's probably some strategies that work well, and honestly I think her DPS output feels a little neutered in this version, and her accuracy of 80 on if it bleeds, I mean 90, it's just not enough accuracy for how much damage she's going to do. Like minus 35% for only 4 points of bleed. Go pick a harvest on a jester and then finale. Overall, I don't think she's viable. I'm going to call the grave robber situational. I've fought some heavy stress strategies where the grave robber is pretty darn good. She can inflict massive damage with obviously that 30 points. If you add any other stress based abilities to her and trinkets and such as that, she can easily get to 40-50 stress damage one turn. And you're thinking, wow, what's there not like about that? Well, you can pull her forward. Well, you can argue then you can shadow fade, which is true, but if you de-stealth her, it's a turn wasted, and there's other things on the Arbalest Flare that kind of counter her. And with there being so many mark strategies, there's a very good chance your opponent may have an Arbalest with them, so they can obviously de-stealth her / also reduce her ability to do a lot of damage. Her overall damage with lunge and obviously with her stealth though is still fairly strong. That's why I say she's viable. She's got a good balance of raw raw damage and also high stress damage, but she has a very low HP of 30. Dodge of 20 is pretty good, but not the greatest, and once again she'd be moved and stunned very easily. Look at that 5% stun resist, so she can be kited, either getting pushed forward or backwards, not allowing them to do what they want to do. So if they're going stress strategy, you pull her forward so she can't panic darts. If they're doing a lunge strategy, well actually you should just always pull her forward, because if they're doing a melee build, they have to use Shadow Fade and then lunge, so once again, you can kind of mess around with her positioning. I think she's situational, definitely not a bad character. I've used her to a couple of wins for sure. The Vestal's a weird one for me. I have used some party comps that actually use her fairly well, and the reason why I kind of like her, even if she gets pulled to second position, she still has the Dazzling Light and obviously Divine Comfort ability. And I feel like your opponent will usually, not always, focus her because they're like, we got to get rid of this Vestal as the healer. However, I don't think she does exceptionally well in stress strategies. Obviously, she has almost no dodge. 37 HP is really not a crap ton. It's not low, but it's not a crap ton either. And with her low dodge, she's never going to dodge anything, which means she's taking like every Hound's Harry, every Antiquarium ability, every, whatever, every come hither. She only's got 20% move resist, 25% stun, which isn't the worst actually. You could easily buff those up with the trinket, but then you're taking away from either her healing or, so all that stuff. So she's definitely, I would call her a situational character. I wouldn't throw her into every party because I just don't think a Vestal is always needed in this game mode. Shieldbreaker I would call absolutely viable for pretty much two sole reasons. Obviously, we have armor piercing if someone's going like a, man at arms or a Crusader cheese. We got 30-40% protection by the second round. Who gives a crap? You're going to go through it. 8 to 15 damage, pretty good. Well, minus 10%, so it might be 7 to 14. Still pretty good. And the second reason, I guess there's 3 reasons. Actually, there's a lot of reasons. Shieldbreaker is still just a good character in this game as she is in the regular. 120 accuracy to bypass guard and then also break guard. So if someone's doing like a houndmaster cheese or a man at arms cheese, you go, you know what, dude, I'm not dealing with it. You just break the guard on that person and then you proceed to obliterate said protected individual. So I think it's pretty darn good there. Impale is obviously good if you want to do pretty much any combo where people need to be in the front. So I have done point blank Impale combos before. It works rather well, as long as they don't have a strong form of stress heals or ability to stun your people, because the stun resist is freakishly low. Well, not freakishly low, but it's very low in the Shieldbreaker, and is most likely going to be a stun chance if it occurs. And then if you ever get down into those oh sweet 101s, 1v1s I mean, 2 blocks, 15 dodge, I believe you can use it, yeah, two battle uses. It can pretty much win you 1v1, so it's definitely something you should consider using. And if she's one of your last people left versus one or even 2 maybe, you have a very good chance. Plague Doctor, I would honestly say not viable. I've had a couple of strategies beat me, but for the most part, I slobber at the fact when I need to face a Plague Doctor. For the sole reason, 5% move, you're never going to get her move resist enough so she won't be moved, which means you can pretty much kiss Blinding Gas goodbye, which is the accuracy and stress ability, just gone. Plague Grenade's gone. Battlefield Medicine gone. You're gonna just end up using either Disorienting Blast, which isn't even a stun in this mode. You're gonna be buffing people, which is good, but you don't want to bring a character along just for that, I feel. I mean, you can, but I don't think it's the most useful. And the Noxious Blast, which is decent. It's still 20 stress. But once again, sitting at 31 HP and 5 dodge. 2 immobile, 2 squishy, 2 row dependent, not enough abilities to get that move resist up. So she's always going to be pulled, throwing off the rest of your party as well. I just don't think the Plague Doctor is very viable. I don't even know if I really have to do a section on the Man at Arms. Obviously viable. Probably top 3 character right now. For a couple of abilities alone. Bellow, 12 stress, 20% damage. There's so many ways to increase his stress. I'm hesitant to say because if I face any of you, I don't want to do it. But you can use an Occultist, make him go invis for more stress. You can add trinkets that allow him to do more stress versus bleeding. So if you pair him with a houndmaster, yada yada yada. There's a lot of easy ways to get his stress damage to about 16 to 18 per turn while also decreasing your enemy's damage. Now obviously you can Arbalest that off, but it doesn't take away the stress damage, which is probably, how do you, the first reason you use it, and then the damage debuff is just good if it does a proc, but it doesn't have to. 70% natural stun resistance as well. It's like, get the frick out of here. You're never going to stun him either. So if you put on like a stun resistant trinket as well, he'll never get stunned. He can be moved, but who gives a crap? Look at this. Bellow, any row. Defender, any row. Retribution, practically any row. Bolster, any row. So with that being said, you're screwed. You can shuffle him all you want. He doesn't care. And then Rampart is a daze. I've seen a couple of people use it, but not many. These are typically the 4 abilities you'll see. Command as well, if they put that on. It doesn't matter, so he's definitely viable, very strong. Not too much else to talk about, it's pretty prevalent. Occultist is definitely viable for a couple of strategies. You can try Mark strategy with it, but what I really love the Occultist for is honestly the pool. It adds stress damage, it obviously pools. Decent, well, there's no speed in this. Now the HP is low, but you do get those big heals. And normally in a dungeon mode in the regular campaign style where you get like a 3 on your heal, you're like, oh no, that could be life or death, and it can be in this game mode as well. However, this game mode, a 40, like even like a 27 base heal, because you get that trinket that adds 35% healing ability or 33, whatever. So if you get like a solid 25, that can almost completely turn a fight. It's ridiculous how a crit 40 or even like a 20 is a lot of HP, and how that can easily turn a fight. And if you do just give someone like 5 HP, you get them off death's door. Zeros are still zeros, but I've used Occultist very effectively. The Abyssal Artillery is also a great way. It's 8 stress on the heart, 8 stress on the initial hit, can crit, can add more. He has a trinket which can add an additional round of stress. So there's a lot of ways he can do damage, heal, and do inflicting stress damage to the enemy lineup. Now he does suffer the same fate as the Vestal. He's going to get moved and he's going to get stunned, so that is a counter to him. But if you have someone who can maybe protect him or just heal him while he's on death's door so he can go, it's a pretty good party. The Leper, I'm going to call him situational actually. Initially I think people were trying to do the big damage crits he normally does, and I have lost to that once or twice, but the Lepers that really get me are the ones that use Purge right here. Because Purge knocks the enemy back 3 and gives you 10 accuracy. So pretty much what you do is, people in the front row typically don't have a lot of great abilities in the obviously position 4. So they either have to move or use like a Crusader's Holy Lance, which you're thinking, well, that's still a strong ability. It is, but damage isn't everything in this game mode. So if you have one healer who can like heal or stop Holy Lance damage or even a dodge, you're going to be in a really good spot. Now the Leper's biggest weakness is having people obviously get pulled in front of them, or someone puts on like 2 move trinkets. You can easily get your move up to I think 130, maybe 140. If you send him back to the 3rd position, you have Leper issues because obviously he still has 0 row versatility, which is why I'm calling him situational and not viable, because there's many easy ways to counter the Leper, and obviously his accuracy is still pretty garbage, sitting at 80 on the hew and then 80 on the chop. So he's still very low in accuracy, and someone with like 20 dodge can just ruin him. Crusader, absolutely viable. Honestly, I would probably argue I would take Crusaders over Man-at-Arms just because of my personal bias against Man-at-Arms right now, but I really do think the Crusader offers more unique situations than the Man-at-Arms, because I've actually been beating Man-at-Arm comps way more than when people have a Crusader in the party, and I'll explain why. First off, Crusaders have a stun, which it appears many characters don't in the game, and also he has 2 freakishly boss trinkets. Now you have to get up to him, but you get the Sacred Blade, which adds 20, so it's 120, 50% melee damage, 30% virtue, amazing. And then obviously we get the Writ of Execution, more accuracy, more damage dealt, higher death blow chance, which is always nice. So his trinkets alone make him a viable character. Honestly, if they were to maybe nerf these 2 trinkets, he'd maybe fall on this list, but as of right now where he stands, he's just disgusting. So 120 base stun chance, as you saw, a lot of people only have like 20-25% stun chance, as you see on the Crusader himself. So you can pretty much get almost a 100% stun chance on anyone in the front rows, which is just massive. That can be, I mean, I don't even know who that can be. That can be literally anyone. It can be Highwaymen, other Crusaders, Shieldbreakers, Bounty Hunters, Abominations have low 1. If a Jester gets moved up there, you know, there's a lot of people he can stun super easy with more accuracy as well. Another great reason is Zealous Accusation, 20 stress against 2 people in the front row, and it does damage, which means you can crit, and if you do crit on it, it can be a decent chunk, which adds even more stress then, so you can end up doing upwards towards about 30 stress damage with 1 ability for instant damage, which is very good. And then you also get Rally to the Flame, which helps heal you and someone else, which means, and I have had this happen before, pretty much statistically at one point, if you start losing people and they have a Crusader on their side, you statistically lose, because if you don't have like any DOTs to get people's HP down far enough, the Crusader will keep 2 people alive, himself and someone else alive the whole time, and you'll never be able to kill someone. So you pretty much have to surrender if you don't kill a Crusader fast enough or you lose enough people. So Crusaders are definitely people you want to fight. And then obviously he has Bulwark of Light, which is very good, and then Holy Lance, which is a nice get you out of the 3rd and 4th position. I haven't seen many Inspiring Cries. It is good, but I think his other abilities just kind of trump it, even though it is pretty strong, even for this game mode. We get to the Fledgling. I'm going to call him situational. I lean slightly not viable, but he can do some nice bleed damage in the back row, adds some stress. He obviously does have a higher death blow resist. If he's last man standing, other trinkets that increase his death blow. He can take a lot of hits. He does have his Redeem, which is a massive heal ability. So the good thing about Fledgling is if you ignore him, he's just going to put so much DOT on you, and you have to hope you kill off his party before you have too much DOT. If you focus him, well, he has the ability to redeem, and then obviously this as well, so he can almost always keep himself alive for a while. And if you do get him to death's door, he's going to have about 90%, thus you're going to have a very hard time killing him in the first couple of hits anyways, unless you get to our friend the Bounty Hunter, which we will soon. So I'll say he's situational / leading not viable at moments. Arbalest, absolutely viable. I'm not going to say she's in the top 5 though, because mark strategies can be pulled around, they can be stunned, because 50% is pretty good. You can put on a trinket to move 80, however that may not accommodate for the people in the front. thus she'll still get kicked to the back. That, or she's just going to get stunned by like a manacles or maybe a dazzling light, something like that. There is ways to counter mark strategies, but we'll go over why she's pretty good. Obviously, marked based abilities, 50% damage versus marked is good, and then she has other trinkets. Just pull them up. More damage against marked, more damage for last, just more damage in general, armor piercing. So as you can see, she's got some good stuff going on for her. Also, the accuracies are really high, so they're not going to miss. She does have Bola, which can actually do a lot of damage. It's minus 50%, so you figure it's 4 to 7, but man, I swear to gosh, it feels like more sometimes. It is ranged, she can easily do up to 8, and if that crits, it's like 12 on an ability. That really shouldn't do a lot of damage on your first 2 people. So you really shouldn't underestimate Bola. It's pretty good. Blind Fire, it's Curing Bleed is huge, especially for 8 health, and then, as I've been saying, Rallying Flare, it clears stuns, dazes, marks, and debuffs. This is pretty much the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for pretty much anything. Against Man-at-Arms, against Crusaders, against Manacles, you know. If you do that, you can really turn a fight around, because if they stun 2 of your individuals without using like big abilities, you can just pop the Arbalest second turn and then just cancel out their turns and then do your damage back. So Illuminating Flare, is a really good one, and I've used that to abuse. And honestly, the reason why I'd put Bounty Hunter, listen to me, Bounty Hunter at number 1 is solely because of Finish Him. It is just such a 100%, it's not 100%, but let me find the trinket here. These 2 trinkets alone, I'll put them on right now. It's just so hard to go any other trinkets on him. 10% death blow chance, you go up to 85% death blow chance when you use this. Removing someone immediately cannot be underestimated. When you have a bounty hunter, you need to focus the enemy bounty hunter, and you need to make sure that your people's HP are always healed. So you're like scurrying around trying to keep people off death's door, because you know once it gets to the bounty hunter's turn, they die. So the bounty hunter just puts you in really bad situations, not because of just his death blow chance, but obviously uppercut or come hither. And in some stress strategies, you do use caltrops because of that 5% stress damage taken, though it can be taken off by obviously an Arbalest. Very viable, very good. Used them to great stuff. He's literally killed off 4 people in one match before and got me that oh sweet achievement. Abominations, honestly, I would probably say they're viable now. I was hesitant on the Abomination before, but the more I looked at his skills, the more I realized they really like, I don't want to say it, they made this guy good. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, 13 HP minus 25 alone is really good. You only get to use it twice, but still a way to get off death's door. When you transform, it adds 3 rounds of stress for 8 stress. That's very good as well, and then you get more damage. You do get dazed when you go back to human, but that's not a problem because you can transform twice. Now it says 4 times, but transforming I believe is 1, untransforming is 1, so you get 2. It's kind of weird they had to do 4, but I understand why they did it. So you can essentially apply 16 stress for 3 rounds in the terms of the fight. He does have manacles, so you do have a pretty good stun on that. He can activate Riposte on Beast Bile, but really one of his best abilities is Slam. It's sending that person to the back row and also breaking guards. Now he'll also bypass guards, so he's actually kind of like a Shieldbreaker but beast mode. So if you do run into a houndmaster strat, just slam the individual they're protecting and you should be okay. So very viable, I like him. Antiquarium, I would have said viable before, but as the meta has gone on, actually, I'm going to lean situational. Low HP, now you can do stupid dodge cheese strats with her, and also there's a trinket that allows her to just do a ridiculous amount of healing forever. But this is what I will say. Even when I run into parties that have these huge heal strats where they get up to about maybe 9 HP per turn, or sometimes even 12, I can still, with Hound's Harry, an Occultist, Slam, Zealous Accusation, get people to Affliction statuses fast enough and also focus fire someone that even that 12 HP they're getting per turn isn't going to help them. Because they only get it if they select a character. So if they select the one character, they get their 12 HP, then your next 2 attacks go against them, you can death blow them. There's no way for them to really heal. So that's why I think the Antiquarium is situational and not just thrown into any party. Also, the accuracy is pretty low on Festering Vapors at 90, so even like a 20 dodge or 25 dodge reduces that to about 65, and you can actually dodge it a lot And as I said before, you can riposte her with the Highwaymen, the man-at-arms, and also the Abomination if you choose to do so. So she can essentially almost kill herself with that 29 HP, which is not a lot. Low stun resist, low move resist as normal. Arbalest, musketeer, many same things as the Arbalest, very viable character. But you get the more healing increase for that, and I believe the rest, actually no, this one minuses the stress and all of that stuff, so it is different, okay. So slightly different on that stuff, but I believe for the most part after that, most of these first skills are the same, so pretty darn good. Easy way to kill people, easy way to get high crit damage, very good. Jester, I would say situational. I don't think you should throw a Jester in any party, but parties that have quick strike capabilities, absolutely. The Jester has a lot of dodge, but once again falls into that trap of only 30 HP, 5% stun resist, and only 10% move resist, so he will get stunned and moved if the opportunity allows it, and he really honestly needs to build up his finale damage. I've seen people use solo, it's decent, I don't know, but mostly it's harvest with a trinket on that adds, I probably won't be able to find it, but it adds blight DOT for when you do a melee attack, and harvest is melee, so people will do 6 DOT melee to your middle ranks while building up finale, and then obviously that DOT right there, yeah, the crush hemlock. So obviously that allows you to do up to 6 DOTs worth in one turn, plus the damage from harvest, which can be, you know, 5, so you can do about 10 to 11 points of damage one turn, so if you do that twice in a row, you can actually melt the middle ranks, and then follow it up with a dirk stab into finale. So the Jester is situational, I just don't know if I'd throw him into every party. And then we get to our little cheese machine over here on the Houndmaster, and I'll call him the cheese machine for 2 reasons. Hound's Harry's any position hits everybody. It can be technically riposted. He does have only 31 HP, but he's got a decent stun resist. The move resist is but stun for 40% is pretty good. If you don't add any stun trinkets, it's only a 60% chance. So if you get really lucky, you can actually resist 2 stuns on him, and then your opponent pretty much loses because they wasted 2 turns, and now you can get about 2 Hound's Harry's off. And the 12 stress damage, once again, it can be increased via trinkets specifically for the Houndmaster, very good. And since this doesn't have any battle uses, which I think it should, you get 20 dodge on yourself. You can add dodge trinkets. He can literally get up to 60 or 80 dodge if you add like a bolster to that. So most people's accuracy sits around probably 90 to 105, even with some trinkets on. So you figured 80 dodge is going to place people about 30-35% chance to hit, and it's just not enough. And the person they're protecting takes minus 70% stress, and if you add a bolster on that as well, you're not going to stress damage that person out. And that's why I said people like the Abomination, Shieldbreaker are so super important that you need to break those guards on those individuals so you can kill that individual, and that way the Houndmaster also just can't increase his guard. So there is a way to get around the cheese machine, but if you're not ready for it, you just might as well probably give up depending on how that goes. So that's my really quick thoughts per each hero. For the most part, a lot of the characters are viable. I don't think I didn't say they're not viable for many characters, because I really do think they did a great job balancing most of these characters out, whether they're situational or core staples. So I'll just go back real quick through on who I think is viable. Sorry, I'll say them out loud in case you're listening in the car or at work or something. Highwaymen viable, Shieldbreaker viable, Man-at-Arms viable, Occultist viable, Crusader viable, Arbalest viable, Bounty Hunter viable, Abomination viable, Musketeer viable, and Houndmaster viable. So I think it's about half, and then probably about 8 to 10 more were situational, and then like only 2. So people who I don't think are very good are the Hellion, not viable, Plague Doctor, not viable, and that might have been it. Maybe the Fledgling, but the Fledgling is pretty good, so I'm going to keep them in that situational category. So really, I think only 2 characters are not viable, based on the fact they can both be moved easily, stunned, or they just don't do their job that well or are easily countered. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this quick list, I guess you'll call it, or not viable, and what you found success maybe with the Hellion and the Plague Doctor, or maybe a character I said viable, but you just don't see it that way. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe below.